Welcome CSE 121 W1 to our 25 challenge 25, where we're taking exercise 24D, where we basically just wrote a query and we copied it and pasted it to a text file. We're going to try to do that automatically right through our Python interface, and we've done that in a previous exercise. And what I did was just copy and paste some text here, the with open part, just the right part. And this is really the main thing here for row and result. This is where we're printing out our results. Normally that'll just show up in the console, but we want to write it to a file. So we're going to try to combine this. So I have this stuff here. Now I used a file called qbout, and we could just call this 25 challenge. And actually, let's call this challenge 25 out. You know why? Because we're going to make a variable, and I don't want it to have a number first. So I'm going to use this to just be 25 out. And that way we have the same variable here. We put the 5 in there. That way we have the same variable name that we're using as a text file. And for a variable name, I don't want to put a number first. I don't want to put any dashes in there. So that's why I'm putting the ch there. So that's going to be our variable that is basically using this open and writing operation that we're going to be doing. Number equals 1. We don't need this. For I and QB file, all this stuff, I don't know if we need any of this stuff. Let's just get all this out of here for now. Actually, we might need this. So let's leave our write part. That's our write method that we have in here. And let's just kind of go out here and delete and tab it over. So we have our tabs okay. Same thing here, I'll just tab over. Now we're going to try to put this in here. So let's try that out. Let's cut this, and I'll just backspace a little. And I'll throw this in here, and I'm just gonna backspace and hit tab and tab again, and I'll line those up. So we basically have this with open, we have this write, and it's ch25 out, so this would be row. So that's all we should really need for this, for row in result, because we have result there. And we're going to print row, and that'll still print down here, but we're also going to write it. Oh, this is where this goes. I'm sorry. This is the ch25 out. So that's where the write method is going to be put onto that. So we're going to do ch25 out, and then we're going to do a write rows to that. And let's just see what happens here. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to run it, see what happens. Now it should print out rows, but I don't know how it's going to write out rows. And if it's going to write it to a file called ch25 out. Now it may create that file, it may have an issue. So let's just run it. And we do, we have an issue on line 20. Well, that's okay, so we made it through the other stuff. And here's what it says. It says argument must be a string, not a tuple. So this row thing is a tuple. And we just need it as a string. So how about this? Let's just do the simplest thing. How about we convert it to a string? If it says the right argument must be a string, if this thing must be a string, how about we just go here and say row equals, convert it to a string, and then see what happens. Let's see if that works. So we're still going to print it down here, but then we're going to convert it into a string, and then we're going to write it to that file, to that ch25 out. Let's see how that works. I'll save this, I'll run it, and there it is. So it printed out. Now this is the print row. It printed this out. Now let's go see if I go into, you could go back here. You could, if you save this, you could go back here and look at, and there's the file. It created that file, ch25 out text. Let's see what's in it. And it's all our information. Now it's all across. Now how can we keep that from going all across? We could put a line break in it. So let's go back here. And let's go back to the py file, and let's just add a line break. How do we add a line break? Well, we could do it with an F string. We can concatenate it with a plus sign, however you want. We can just go here. Let's just try this. Row equals, we'll just redefine it again, or reassign it. Row equals, and we'll just put F, and then in quotes, we'll put row of itself, and then we'll put \n. That way everything here is in a string. So we could just use an F string. So that way row is an F string, and it could just write out the F string, and each F string will have a line break in it. So it'll do that row that we already have, and hopefully you'll break it. So let's see what happens. Let's see. Save it again. We'll run it. And it should give us the same output down here as long as we didn't mess anything up. And there it is. There's our 10 largest states. And here's where we see the real result. We'll go to databases. We'll go to this file. And that's what we want. So that's it. So this was easier than I thought. The only issue we had is that tuple error. And I don't know a whole lot about tuples, but we just had to convert it to a string. So back here, we just had to go to this thing, and we just had to find a way to just convert it to a string. So I did it a couple different times. You could have done it all together, in parentheses, but sometimes that gets confusing with all those parentheses and stuff and dots and everything. So I like to break it out ahead of time. That way we're just writing out row, and we're just doing all our conversions here, first to a string, and then we're adding an F string with a line break in it. So that worked out okay. So we were able to write that to a text file. So that's good to know if we ever have to do things as a CSV file or anything else. So that's our challenge 25 if you needed help with that, or if you got stuck, maybe you figured it out on your own. But I always try to go to the easiest method first and then kind of work out from there. So that's 25 challenge 25, and writing to a text file right through our Python language.